It's an instinct. A feeling. The Force brought us together. We're not alone. Good people will fight if we lead them.
People keep telling me they know me. No one does.
But I do.
Long have I waited. And now, you're coming together. Is your undoing.
What are you doing there, 3PO?
Taking one last look, sir. At my friends.
Confronting fear is the destiny of a Jedi. Your destiny.
The Force will be with you.
Always.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special episode of the Jibber Jabber podcast. This week we talk about the Rise of Skywalker. As always, we are joined by Jay Mack and our good friend Todd. Say hello.
Thanks for having me on, guys. Cheers.
Thank you for having me on, Sunshine.
We've already recorded this. It's like a script right there, right?
Yeah, somebody didn't hit record, did they?
So this is a very special episode where we are going to be talking about the Rise of Skywalker. Myself, a huge fan of Star Wars. Todd, pretty much the dawn of Star Wars. And J-Mac doesn't really like Star Wars. He's more of a Trekkie. But we're going to get into...
I'm indifferent on Star Wars. I don't hate Star Wars. You can't hate Star Wars. That's like hating babies. It's just some people don't like babies, but you can't hate babies. You know what I
mean? Others would beg to differ. But yeah, a lot of that stuff and more coming up very soon. So make sure you guys go ahead and like and subscribe to us on Facebook, share with your friends and all that cool stuff. You know, the bigger we get, the bigger you guys get to hear. I mean, I know that doesn't make sense, but fuck off, Jordan. Fuck off.
That's going to sound really like, what?
Yeah. The bigger we get, the better it gets for you. All right. Exactly. So before we get in the show, make sure you guys check out our sponsors, Truffle Shuffle. And here's a wee ad for Truffle Shuffle.
Oh my god.
Say, what's up, son?
Oh, all I wanted was a Never-Ending Story t-shirt, but Santa didn't bring me one.
Well, Santa Claus didn't go to truffleshuffle.com last year and use JibJab15 when he spent over £20 or more on truffleshuffle.com like you should. That's right, 15% off when you use JibJab15. Exclusive code to the Jibber Jabber podcast. Go now. They have trinkets, t-shirts, mugs and so much more. Everything you could want, from 80s retro threads to Game Boy console watches. JibJab15 at truffleshuffle.com. Go now!
Yay, Truffle Shuffle.
Yep, so make sure you check out those guys because they support us really well. They sent us some cool Lost Boys t-shirts, but we're not going to tell you why just yet. So, let's get into this, right? Let's talk about the Rise of Skywalker. So, before we get into it, we're going to recap, the last two of the trilogy. Todd, you take it from here.
Okay, so beginning The Force Awakens. Me and you, of course, Kevin, went to see it 2015 now, 4 years ago.
Midnight screening for all of the trilogy.
4 years ago now, man, and it was packed out and it was fantastic. We think we both quite enjoyed it. I know I certainly did. Still, probably my favourite of these sequel films. I hope that's not a spoiler.
Me too, by the way.
Yeah, it was awesome. What do you think, man?
I obviously, as I'm not a massive Star Wars fan, I did go into the new ones just with like a fresh pair of eyes. Do you know what I mean? I was just kind of taking them for what they were. But I think because I'm not a fanboy, it can be a good and a bad thing. Do you know what I mean? But I think when I went to see the first one, The Force Awakens, I really enjoyed it. I did. I didn't have like from what I heard afterwards, they were just saying like, oh, it's just exactly the same as A New Hope. It's just different people on the screen. That's what I'd heard after it, but that didn't bother me. I thought it was pretty decent, and so off to a strong start with the trilogy anyway.
It was. I really enjoyed that. And we've seen it together in cinema. There was a lot of fan service. Then again, there was a lot of similarities to A New Hope. What I really enjoyed about it as well, though, is it was the passing of the torch from the original cast to the new cast. And that was J.J. Abrams' input. And as you had told me this before, Todd, that there was originally a plan for 3 different directors.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I think the plan was for J.J. Abrams to do the first one, like he did Force Awakens. Then it was Rian Johnson to do Last Jedi, which he did. And the last one was to be done by Colin Trevorrow, who was the Jurassic World director. He's done other films other than Jurassic World movies, but that's the one I think that was big at the time. So he was going to be the third director, but they were all going to like work together over a story across the 3 films. And well, I don't know anything about it, I can confirm right now that there's definitely no way that was going on after Force Awakens, because Last Jedi just kind of threw everything out of spin.
Yeah, I can totally. You and I kind of are agreed on that. Jordan, what do you think in regards to The Last Jedi as a movie on its own, or as the sequel to The Force Awakens? Where was that for you?
Well, for me, the good thing for me is I only seen it last Monday. I thought we had these tickets booked for like the midnight screening, advanced screening of Rise of Skywalker. Fuck, I forgot what it was called. We had the tickets for that, and I was like, I don't think I've seen The Last Jedi yet. So I watched it, and I thought it was all right. It wasn't as good as The Force Awakens. I thought it was all right. Do I have anything? There wasn't anything stand out about it. I mean, one thing I would say is that every one of these films, even as much as I've seen The Rise of Skywalker, I mean, they're beautiful to look at. They're really kind of well put together. Not as well as something else I watched recently, but I'll tell you about that at the end. But no, I was pretty happy.
Just in regards to like the movie, like Last Jedi. I mean, I remember we went. Of course, we seen that at midnight screening as well. It was like what year was it? Like 2017, was it? I don't know. I can't really remember, but I remember at a time coming out and thinking, don't know how I feel about that. And I mean, The Force Awakens is a film I've watched plenty of times since, and you watch it and I enjoy it every time. But The Last Jedi, I think I've watched it like twice since I think I watched it once through after I've seen it at cinema. And the most recent time I watched it, like before Rise of Skywalker. And the worst thing I can say about it is I found myself just skipping scenes just to Luke Skywalker. I was like, oh no, we're going to the casino gambling planet now with Finn and Rose Tico. Nah, no thank you. And I just skipped through it and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it because I was skipping just to the bits. It's they're a good movie. It's a good movie, I suppose. But as a Star Wars fan, I was looking more for just like, I like that bit. I like that bit. And I think this new one's going to be the same in years to come, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
So,
I think,
what did you think, Kev?
For me, like when we finished watching The Force Awakens, I was proper amped because there's Luke Skywalker. The Force Awakens left you wanting more, right? So when we went to see The Last Jedi, I thought, right, okay, fine. I just thought that had they ended it there, then fine, because I wasn't expecting anything afterwards. I thought, right, you've killed off the big bad guy, right? All right, it's fine, and there's no actual reason for Rey's parentage. So what the hell's that spaceship memory where them flying away, and then the passing it on to the young children. Hope again is, what I mean, kids are filled with hope now. I thought, right, and there was quite a bit of I don't know. I just felt that there was a bit more politics in the second one as well. And then there's the whole Luke Skywalker thing where it just wouldn't be Luke Skywalker. Fuck are you laughing at, Jordan?
Nothing to do with you, man. I'm laughing at the fact that I went to turn my fire on and my fucking microphone cut out. There's obviously some kind of short happening when I touched this fire.
Wow. All right.
The electrics are so good in this studio that, in fact, if I was to do it now, I'd just cut out and I need to unplug the microphone and plug it back in to get life back in it.
God, I could see you laughing, and then Todd was kind of laughing, and I'm like, right, is there something behind me or something?
We Harry's behind you like that.
Whenever I see that thing behind you, I'm just thinking it looks like Tom Arnold.
Oh yeah, it's a purge mask. It's a purge mask. For everybody at home, we can see each other. I mean, you guys are just listening to this, but we can actually see each other. And as I was telling my, my thoughts there on The Last Jedi, and these guys were fucking laughing at me. So that's minded. That's fine. I'll just sit and fucking laugh when you chat.
Mine was completely innocent. I was laughing at my own shit setup.
Oh, god dang. So yeah, so we actually went to, when we seen The Last Jedi, we actually saw The Force Awakens again because we seen it in a double bill, and we were offered at the Basket Cinema to go and see the triple bill, but we're like, fuck that.
That's too much, man.
Yeah, way too much.
I mean, I couldn't sit through a triple belly fucking Peppa Pig. Never mind, like 2 hour films each or 2.5 hour films. That's just, even for a film fan, that's heavy going.
I know exactly, because you love Peppa Pig, and if you kind of sit through a triple sitting in
as far as I'm concerned, that we cunt can become bacon. Did you know one thing that did make me chuckle when we went to see the Rise of Skywalker was like the one guy that dressed up.
He does that every year, man.
He does. We've seen him there every year.
You know what? Like, fair play to him. Like, when I seen him, like, he was obviously one of the first there. I arrived there at 10:30, basically through necessity, because I finished work at 10:30 and I live further away from the cinema than my home. Sorry, further away from my work than the cinema is from my work. That's what I was trying to say. So I get there at like 11:15, and he's already sitting there. He's sitting in the big massage chair outside. I've never. It's funny seeing like a wee kind of chubby Kylo Ren sitting in a fucking massage chair. It was pretty cool. But I didn't expect more people to turn up dressed up, and the only other person that did was your fucking 7-year-old.
He's 9, but it's fine.
Same difference.
Pretty much. If they're not 18, they're ever and under.
15, 17, doesn't matter, officer.
Oh, there we go.
Jesus Christ.
So let's jump straight back to Star Wars. So we've kind of just given a bit of a recap there. So we had J.J. Abrams with The Force Awakens, and then we had Rian Johnson take on, in my own opinion, fuck The Last Jedi.
What do you think made J.J. Abrams so much stronger?
The Force. I think J.J. Abrams must have been a Star Wars fan and tried to deliver it for the fans. And Rian Johnson, as Todd has previously said, felt like he had something to prove.
That makes him an anomaly then, because obviously he did the new Star Trek film. He done the first Star Trek reboot in 2009.
Really well, didn't he?
Oh,
it was awesome.
It was phenomenal. I think me and Todd have some things to discuss.
Yes,
later.
This is going to happen. This is very much going to happen. So that's pretty much my viewpoint on that the Rise of Skywalker was a bit of a clean-up job. So let's get into it. On the whole, how was your experience? J Mac, I know you ran out the cinema. So we'll start with Todd. We'll start with
me. At the time, I felt that after watching it, I was like, it's not a well-made movie at all. It's clunky. It's an hour and a half to begin with of just video game plotting, Like, you've got to go and get this thing off this person. And then once you get there, it's like, well, first of all, you must get this for me, young boy. And then you get to the place where you've got to get the thing for that person, and that other person turns around to you and says, oh, you need to go and fight the troll and get back my brother now for me. You've got to do this, you've got to do that. It really did feel like that for the first hour and a half. And as soon as it caught up and it was like, finally, we can just heat the fan service, and the last half an hour was just like all of this good, lovely stuff. Are we speaking spoilers, by the way? Are we allowed spoilers?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've not watched it and you're listening to this episode, you're a fucking idiot. So.
Well, you're going to get it spoiled for you now. I'm not going to spoil it all, but I mean, at that point, they dish out your Han Solos, they dish out your Luke Skywalkers,
Real Luke
they give you
Skywalker.
everything to send you home happy. And at the end of the film, I was so mixed because I was like, up to a certain point, I hated this movie. It was badly made. It just did not appeal to me. And in the last half an hour, it's like they tossed me off in the cinema and sent me home happy. So when I look back on it, I'm like, damn it, they got me. I enjoyed it. I'll watch it again. Is it brilliant?
Damn it, they got me. I love it.
But they got me.
Hey, Kevin, you're next.
Well, like you say, Todd, I felt like that as well. There's a lot, and I've detailed them out here. I've bullet pointed a lot of my gripes with it, like fucking Sith satnav.
you mother fucker!
I mean, like literally.
Fucking stole that off me. He's done it again. He's done it. In fact, I went a step further and called it Sith nav. I'm fucking taking it before you say it.
Hey, it's funny either way, man.
There's a common trait on this show, and because you've heard every episode, Todd. There are times where I'll say something, and Jordan does that very face because it's definitely something he's told me off the podcast.
It was the never-ending story one with Jack Black. That was what I remember.
I said Jack Black would be a good. No, it was Labyrinth. I said Jack Black would be a good.
Labyrinth.
Jared.
Man, I'm terrible at that.
Aye, thanks for that one as well.
But I totally agree, though. I agree with what you said. I mean, you called it a Sith nav, but I agreed completely that it's a bit fucking stupid. Like, why would the Emperor do that? These two snaps can find me.
Hey, I'll
go one better. Why is the Emperor?
I don't know.
Wait, how do we find our way to the Sith? The Sith Wayfinder. It's so fucking stupid, man. It's like they got.
Hey, don't forget about the little knife you hold up to the mountains that shows you where the thing is.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
like the compass.
They must have been only created like 40 years ago. It's not like it's an old artifact because it's a wreckage of like a 40-year-old thing. So they must have made this knife in the last 40 years.
It's like Indiana Jones finding a PS3.
That's so true. That's so true. I mean, like, do you feel rushed that they just didn't think these kind of things through?
The Sith nav thing, that was just like I was already kind of watching the film, you know, with like two fingers on my forehead and one my thumb on my cheek, like what the fuck am I doing here? Like you said, Todd, I'm actually regretting not staying now with the fact that you said it got better after the first hour and a half, because I think I made it to an hour and 29 minutes and fucking 59 seconds. I was like, fuck this.
Yeah, I don't blame you though.
I got to the point where. Right, the point where I knew I was going to leave was when they were having the fucking Harry Potter fight, trying to keep the ship on the ground, and you know, Kylo was fighting with Rey, trying to stop the ship from leaving with Chewbacca on it.
Oh wow, that feels like it was quite early. Yeah.
Well, that's when I knew I was leaving, and then I gave it until I don't even know her fucking name, but she was dressed in red, wearing a helmet. She had a banging body, and. She went from wanting to kill Poe to wanting them to run away with her within 5 fucking minutes. I don't know if you know anything about women. It doesn't happen. They go from wanting to kill you to wanting to kill you more, and then maybe considering letting you live. And this is over the space of a week, right? They don't go from I'm going to kill you to run away with me, boy. It doesn't work like that. What a fucking stupid plot point. And that stupid wee thing that was fucking about with C-3PO's head. I don't know what that was meant
funny.
to be.
That was funny.
It wasn't. That's the thing. There was 1,000. I knew there was 1,000 jokes made in that film in the first hour and a half, and the biggest laugh you got out of me was this. The biggest laugh you got out of the entire cinema was this. None of the jokes landed. None of them. Literally, in fact, I was fucking shocked that I didn't hear Kevin laugh, because he laughs at anything in the cinema. He laughs at kids getting killed at cinema. I've been there for that.
It's a very fair point.
It's like, if Kev's no laughing, it's no funny.
There were points that I was laughing, Todd. Am I right? Right, and it's it's that point where like, hey, can you cover this? And then the wee trolling turns just like, okay.
Oh, that's right. It was the most random of things.
It was.
It was the Lando Calrissian talking to the wee aliens, just like, cover me. And it was like, oh, right. And you tell that killed you.
Why?
Did you know what else? See the wee guys that were dancing in that new Civilization place? The one that was like,
Wait, that I think we're talking about the same scene here.
Credit, right?
Sorry. I think we're talking about the same scene where they arrive on this planet, and it's like fucking Mardi Gras. And again, at that point, I was like, I am close to leaving. I am fucking close. And then
you know what's funny about that?
It won me back for a wee second with how cute the fucking native kids were. The wee kids that were sitting, they were really cute. I was like, oh yeah, I hate this again.
What's funny about that is you hated that scene. You're like, I'm close to leaving, but next to me, I had a 7-year-old and a 28-year-old who are sitting there and wonder, going, "This is great." They're dancing and laughing. This is great.
I loved it. I thought, these guys fucking don't need a party, man. They're all like, him and Anna.
Like going back a little bit in the film, like it was pretty near the beginning, and Rey is going through our Jedi training course thing, and I found that so boring that I thought the similar Tomb Raider scene was better than that.
It was quite like. I think that the whole point in that was like, look, she's been doing Jedi stuff. She's stronger now, right?
Yeah, I think I said to you on the phone, so I'm going to say this before you do. I was maybe going to leave this comment till later, but there's no telling when you're going to fucking steal everything. The way I was looking at that film by the time I left is it was like a badly written Harry Potter in space. And that's how I felt about it when I left. There was just too much magic. There was too much force going on. It's the one thing that Star Wars always had going for it was obviously special effects. It was way ahead of its time when it came out. It kind of kept ahead of its time, and then for some reason in 1998 they released a fucking computer game and tried to pass it off as a film. But I was watching it going, these effects just aren't really up to scratch at certain places. Like all the stuff at the beginning. I love that shot with Kylo Ren when he basically kind of scraped his saber kind of along the ground past the camera. Beautiful shot, looked really good. But anything that was during the day, I just felt looked really fake. Especially like the speed racer thing, chase scene that they were in. It was like no speed racer. What do you call them? Pod racing. It was like a pod racer thing they were in. Mm-hmm. Or some kind of transport thing, but it was Poe and Rey and Chewie, and they were getting chased by. Although I did laugh when they burst the stormtrooper's jetpack thing, and he fucking flew into the mountain. I did giggle at that. That was pretty funny. But I just found the special effects just kind of not quite up to scratch for a good chunk of the film.
I say that really bothered me. I get lost in movies sometimes where I don't really tend to pay attention to the special effects unless it's something like if you go back and watch Shrek. Whoa! That's when you realise. What do you think of special effects, Todd?
Well, I think what Jay's saying holds water, because I don't know if you guys have read much about like this film before it came out, but apparently this like went through test audiences, which is something a Star Wars film never ever does. And there's like 3 different cuts of this. Apparently, they were editing it like 3 weeks before it came out. There were 6 different endings
Never a
or
good
something.
sign. Never a good sign, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, too many cooks in the kitchen and just unsure of what fans are going to like and going to want. And the whole film had practically leaked like about a week before its release. So a lot of people went into this film, myself unfortunately included, thinking that this is probably going to be the finished product. And within half an hour, I'm watching the film unfold going, damn it, this is exactly what I've read. And you know what? That actually might have been the problem I had with the first hour and a half. I don't know. I mean, it was better. Don't get me wrong, because reading it on a web page in comparison to like watching the actual film unfold, watching the film unfold is a much better way to do it. And I wish I'd went in blind, because I might have been able to form a better opinion of it. But I don't know.
Well,
but yeah, that had lots of production troubles from what I read, and it's quite fascinating. If you want to know more about that side of things and filmmaking, it's actually probably quite a good case study, and will be in years to come as well. So
good point.
So we'll actually kick off this part here talking about the movie itself and the story. So the movie opens where we see Kylo Ren. He's been summoned almost verbally to an underground thing in a place that... Did he use the Wayfinder? He did, didn't he? Did he have the Sith nav?
Yeah, he did.
He did. So...
Sorry, he had one of them because there are only 2.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And you have to find the other one.
So he took one of his Sith navs, jumps under a big rock to a place where like Palpatine is back. He's not dead, right? But before we get to that scene, we see a lab full of fucking Snokes. Now, what the fuck is he going to do with a lab full of Snokes? What was the purpose for all the Snokes?
I know what I'll do. I'm not dead, so I will build a lab full of Snokes, and I'll take one of them and pretend to be Snoke.
Like, what?
Is that what was Snoke Palpatine then?
Yeah.
Thing is,
How did he get that far?
Snoke was supposed to be the Supreme Chancellor, right? The Supreme Leader, sorry. The Supreme Leader Snoke, who had a bit of character in the first one. In both of them, right? He gets owned, and then it's like, well, Ben then he meets Palpatine, and Palpatine's like, I've been every voice you've heard. And he's been Vader's voice that he called to him through the helmet. And he's like, hey, I can kill you, I killed Snoke. It's like, I was Snoke. Why? Why?
Do you think?
What reason?
Do you think Snoke looked like a foreskin?
Aye.
Or maybe that's just mine. I should go to the doctor.
Yeah, I thought.
What?
No comment.
But no.
Did you just throw Todd under the bus in some way and I've missed it?
Aye, it's fine. But Snoke, right? Snoke, what was the purpose to anything that Snoke done? Like,
Mate, you're asking us. We don't have a fucking clue.
Right, let's try and formulate a reason for this, right? So Snoke's like, you can't betray me. I see it. So Palpatine should have at least been like, right, so you know all that stuff I taught you as Snoke? Well, that's because I was hiding, because I was ill as fuck, but still strong enough to be powerful than most people through some vessel that I've made in a lab. Right?
It's so stupid when you say it out loud.
Right?
I'm in hiding because I'm so weak, but I am still stronger than everyone. So what's the point in hiding, really?
It sounds stupid, but it's got a point almost, because I mean that must be it. It's like he couldn't go anywhere because he's like strapped to a forklift. Because he's just sitting there strapped to the forklift for about 80% of the movie until the last 5 minutes. But if that's the case, he's like sending it to somebody just to set him up so he can get to the position where he is in this film, maybe. But I like the fact that if that's the case, what he is doing, he's like, see when we're making somebody, right? You know, make them not as good looking as me, but you know, like make them similar enough that people will know it's maybe me. Don't make him a good looking son of a bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. On the whole Palpatine thing, it was one bit of the film I thought was actually pretty cool was his introduction. Now, I might only think it was cool because I'm not a big Star Wars guy, but he looked fucking scary. Like at the start of the film, like you could have taken a lot of his shots straight out of a fucking Japanese horror film.
Yeah.
I thought that's probably the scene at the start. From what I seen, the scene at the start with him was probably the only thing that warranted the 12A rating, as far as I'd seen, because I thought it was kind of scary. Like, I wasn't scared, but I could see how it would be scary.
You were scared.
All right, man, I was shaking myself.
So was Palpatine, man. I don't think he's actually went to the toilet himself.
And it was the like. What am I? I'm getting the point I'm getting at is I thought like, and you described it perfectly, Todd. I didn't think about it this way because I'm not a gamer, but you're right. The whole first fucking hour and a half was just finding stuff to get places, like you do in a computer game, and that's probably the main reason I don't play computer games anymore. I stopped playing games after fucking Sonic the Hedgehog because I like to just run in one direction and try and get to the end. That's my that's how I like my games to be. The first time I played a game where you had to go backwards to somewhere you'd already been to pick something else up, I was like, nah, Mary here, mate. Fuck off. I'm fucking done. I fucking been here. It's like, look, there's the guy I fucking killed earlier. I've fucking been here. So, I'm not a gamer either. Why am I on a fucking geeky podcast? Geeky? Aye, quite often. Like, obviously, we talk about movies all the time, and quite often we'll talk about other things. Like you'll bring up video games and stuff, and I'm just sitting here like, what? I did totally get that. I think it's part of the magic. It's part of the force that this podcast has. But yeah, what Todd said was right. I think there was just too much kind of running about looking for stuff and that Sith Finder fucking thing, and then the dagger. And C-3PO was like, "Oh, I know what it says, but I'm not telling you." What was that all about? It was just another way to draw it out. And then they had to do the whole fucking Terminator reset on him. It was just lazy.
It's fine. R2 had a backup, a system backup.
They go to that very.
I'm going to use the phrase. You ready? Daddy, aye.
Yeah, it turns out R2 actually had a system software update that he could plug into C-3PO and give him back everything. Do you know what I think was nice though? When C-3PO looked at his friends and goes, "I'm taking one last look at all my friends." It's because the guy that plays C-3PO said that this is the last time he'll do it. So that was a wee reference.
Although I did actually quite like that wee moment. I will say, I will confess to quite. I was like, that's a bit sad.
Were you screaming?
No.
There you were.
No, I need to be emotionally.
That gets you.
I need to be emotionally invested in something to start screaming.
So let's get to something that Todd, you know how I feel on this, right? So Rey is Palpatine's granddaughter, right?
Who's shagging Palpatine?
Right! Who fucked Palpatine? Well, it was fucking one of yous. Disgusting!
No. Let me just tell you a conversation I had with my wife, right? So I had this conversation with my wife earlier. I had on the TV, and it was that moment where, I don't know if you'll know this, Jordan, but I know you will, Todd. The moment where Palpatine is before his transformation, and he's talking to Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith about how he killed Darth Plagueis, right?
Yeah.
And I goes to my wife, "Who fucked him?" And she goes, "Well, hear the conversation, right? Well, they could have fucked him there." I'm like, "Yeah, but he's like the age of a fucking granddad there, right? So his kids should have been grown up at this point, and at least having Rey at this point, which would make no sense because Darth Vader hasn't been tamed down yet. He's not even Darth Vader yet, right?" So then I fast forward. Now here's how he looked when someone must have fucked him. And she goes, "Ugh." Then she goes, Well, to be fair, I am out and about sometimes, and I see a fucking right munter with a kid and go, "Well, someone's fucking shit."
It's so true. And by the way, have you ever noticed that munters have got the most kids?
Right.
That was not a deliberate stab at Kevin. Oh, holy fuck.
Fuck off, Todd.
Todd's lost it. All right. I can't backpedal this.
Oh shit!
Oh no.
What I'm saying is, how often do you see an absolute munter walking down the street wearing a Rangers top that says #1 mum on the back of it, smoking a fag, and she's got 8 Waynes? Oh no!
so is he alright? Is he alright? Is he dead? Is he laughing at?
And then
So yeah, someone fucked Palpatine, right? Here's what I just can't get as well. He didn't raise no goddamn kids. Like, and it shows you the clip of them like trying to hide Rey. They look very natural and normal. Like the evil galactic fucking supreme motherfucker, right? That's what I am. It says here on my badge, supreme galactic motherfucker. Motherfucker.
3 stars employee of the week.
right. The most evil motherfucker in the world who like has destroyed planets like at the shot of a gun, right? Mass genocide. Doesn't he raise normal kids? Right?
Yeah.
Right? And then doesn't have a granddaughter. Nah, I'm not saying it. Go and someone try and bridge this for me. Try and make sense that this motherfucker, who was dead at the time, he probably had kids. How the fuck does he have a grandchild?
It's the fact he kind of knows about it that kind of pissed me off. I was kind of like, well, if you did, you certainly didn't know about it until at least you were like, oh, I felt something within the Force, because that's what I can do. But
Force Awakens.
No, but I don't think it was like that though, because he was quite aware that his son and his daughter-in-law, I suppose, were going to be offed later. I don't know. It's you know what, mate? It really doesn't matter. The filmmakers don't want you to care. They don't want you to ask questions about this shit.
when you're that's the problem though. I think because of the like normally with science fiction films, there's some kind of grounding in actual science. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if you look at Star Trek for a minute, everything there's nothing in Star Trek that in time won't be possible, right? And I think that's where Star Wars actually it just becomes a plain fantasy film. It's not science fiction. It's a fantasy film, and I don't know. Like for me, I prefer sci-fi, and it's maybe one of the things that kind of annoyed me more about it was like I said when I got to that scene when they were having the force fight over the ship that was leaving with Chewbacca on it. And by the way, fucking so obvious that he wasn't dead. It was if you're going to lose a character like Chewbacca, you see that death on screen. It's a fucking rule. So as soon as the ship blew up and she was like, Chewie, I was like, Chewie's all right, by the way. I guarantee he's all right. He's on another ship. And that it's just where it lost me. It just gets too fucking daft. And I think if you're going to, there's very few genres that can cross over properly. Like you can get horror thrillers, you can get comedy, drama. I think sci-fi and fantasy together for me just ends up getting a bit annoying most of the time. If you're going to do fantasy, make it fantasy. Yeah, it has to be just a fantasy film like Legend or fucking Never-Ending Story. I know you love that one, Todd. Todd came to us. That's so funny, man.
It's just not.
The first time I met Todd, he came up to us after our first ever Jibber Jabber cinema takeover. He comes up to Kev, he's like, "All right, man, how you doing?" He's like, "Oh, thanks for coming." And what Ted said to Kev, Ted? What Todd said to Kev?
Ted.
That's, mate, I'm calling you Ted from now on. This is how our relationship is. What Todd said to Kev was, "Kev, have you seen that before?" Kev's like, "Aye, love it." And Todd went, "That was a load of shite."
He made it! He made it! I always said he could do it! I can't wait for you to go falling out of the basket again!
Hey, that movie, you'll admit it, that movie requires a lot of nostalgia. No doubt about it.
I'll give you that. But then I could say the same thing about Star Wars, and I think that's why I'm not a big fan of it. Because although I was born earlier than both of you guys, but my dad and my brother, they weren't big fans of it either. And I think that's got a lot to do with it. I think unless your dad can get you into something, then you tend to not really give two fucks about it. That's why I don't like football. For the same reason. I just wasn't brought up with it. Actually,
my dad's a huge football nut, and I've always just detested it.
Maybe that's why, though. It can go the other way. Do you know what I mean?
So, there has to be balance in the force.
I'm going to bang my head off my fucking door in a minute. Right? Yeah, so I think because my dad wasn't, I mean, he liked it, but my dad was always, Todd, my dad was always a Trekkie or a Star Trek fan. And I think and that's actually one thing that's starting to bother me a little bit is comparing the two because they are completely fucking different. It's like
100%.
Star Trek is science fiction, Star Wars is fantasy, and at this point, I just don't think they're comparable at all. I think that they're completely different, and it's possible. I suppose that's why you have to be one or the other most of the time, which is why J.J. Abrams somehow is a genius because he's managed to bridge the gap a little bit.
With Star Trek, I feel like you need. It's not you need it, but I think it demands your attention a little bit more because it's really clever and the dialogue's like much more complicated than it is in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Star Wars is just like a switch your, not always, but switch your brain off type thing. But with Star Trek, I don't even the worse, like the more poorer Star Trek films is a word. I wouldn't say it's a bad Star Trek film, but even the poorer ones are still demand your attention.
Yeah,
they're all still clever in their own ways.
We don't speak of the odd-numbered movies. That's true, by the way. Star Trek 1, 3, 5, 7, shite. It's only this. It's so funny. Did you ever see that cartoon they did, where it was Picard having an argument with Darth Vader about why one was better than the other? It's so fucking it's so good, man. It ends up that the Enterprise blows up the Death Star, and then fucking Darth Vader floats by the screen of the Enterprise and goes, "Your special effects are lame." Right? And then Picard goes, "That's not the point." And then he floats by again and goes, "Yes, it is." It's fucking great fun. You need to see it. It's really good. Anyway, back to the point in hand. That's why they call me the Tangent Man.
The Tangent Man. You call yourself the Tangent Man. Gosh. For those of you that don't know, J Mac and Todd will be doing their very own episode on the Picard series and Star Trek alike. So you guys that really like that stuff can look forward to that. Me, I don't even know how they spelled Star Trek, so I'm going to set that one out. But yeah, so back to Star Wars.
STARTRECK. Write that everywhere.
Well, I know it ain't that, boy. So I fucking somebody fucked Palpatine, And we're not leaving here till we find out what one of you that fucking done it.
You just begged me Star Wars. That's awesome.
so
That lassie got born and no cunt leaves here till we find out what cunt did it.
Oh, so yeah, I think for that, like that, come on. I would have preferred that if you're going to bring Palpatine back, just have him come after Rey because she's powerful, not because she's related. She doesn't have to be related. It makes no fucking sense. It'd make more sense to have him just go, I feel that. Come here. And here's another thing. So Rey has the whole point in Rey, because this whole trilogy has been a ploy for the Emperor to get Rey to go to his wee tomb so that she can kill him and then his soul merges with hers. Because that's what happens when you kill someone, right? That's what happened when Darth Vader threw him off that fucking thing. Their souls merged, right?
Getting a bit Highlander at this point.
So their souls merge, and what will happen is he will then share the vessel that is Rey. So he's like, kill me. I think there are better ways of getting Rey to come to your tomb. Rather than like fucking with Kylo Ren's head, why not just fuck with Rey's? Because they cut out a lot of shit, right?
Because it makes for a shorter film. It's like, oh, listen, by the way, just so you know, this Rise of Skywalker's looking at being about 45 minutes long. We need to sort this shit out.
Right, but another thing, right? And here's what doesn't make sense. So he's like, she must kill me in order for she needs to swing the lightsaber at me, otherwise, like he's like, I'll kill all your friends and that because they're right up there. I'll fucking kill a lot of them. Hurt me. And then she's like, nah. And then big Kylo Ren comes in and he's like, all right, well, because you two are really strong, like you're very quite tightly bonded, that's fine. I can just fucking suck the life out of you like I'm in Hocus Pocus. Now I'm powerful. How does that even make sense?
It's Star Wars.
Nah. He's like, oh, well, wait a minute. I don't need you to kill me anymore because there's Kylo Ren. And you're both quite tight, right? You're quite bombers. You're bombers. It's fine. I'll just suck the fucking life out of you and that'll make me strong.
It's the point that Todd made a second ago. The thing about Star Wars compared to Star Trek is that you can just switch off and go, all right, okay. That's why.
All right.
100%.
Straw hands. Pull hats.
And I think it's one of the dangerous things about pulling films like Star Wars apart is you're going to find more holes in it than Swiss cheese. And
they've been doing really well trying to cover all the holes, like Chewie getting his medal, explaining why there was a fucking weakness in the Death Star. But now all they've done is create more potholes.
It still doesn't explain why Chewie didn't get a medal in the first one.
No, but they gave him one. It's like, here, Leia's dead. You want a medal?
Aye.
Point did you leave the cinema? I'm curious. What's the last part you remember?
The last part I actually remember is that fucking banging hot lassie with a mask telling Poe she wants him to run away with her. That's the last part I remember.
If she's got a face like Susan Boyle, I would laugh.
Mate, she got a face like Susan Boyle and an arse like something else. But no, she was very attractive. But I was going to say something really bad there. I'm not going to say it. But no, that's the last bit I remember was them pretty much leaving that planet.
Right. So I'm trying to. I've only seen it the once. I'm trying to pinpoint. Okay, where are we with that? So Palpatine's a shagger. He's what?
Shagger.
So
let's call him Pumpatine for this point on.
He's wanting Rey, but Rey and her band of pals are all looking for this wave Sith Satnav, as you call it, to find Palpatine.
They should have just asked Palpatine's ex.
I should be willing to give up to just say, he owes me child support, the prick.
Prick went after fucking started destroying the galaxy. Wanker. You got it. Like, hey, baby, you got any ex-boyfriends I should be worried about?
It's like, oh, only Palpatine. It's like, what is he? Is he a bouncer or something? It's like, no, he He's like a proper Sith. It's like, where is he? I don't know. You need the fucking Sithy sat nav. Oh fuck! I'm gonna actually come out. I'm gonna go on Dragon's Den with a wee pyramid-shaped sat nav and call it the Sith nav, and just get shot out the room.
What if his ex was actually pissed at him because she thinks he fucked off? But what actually happened is Darth Vader threw him down a big fucking shit in the Death Star that blew up, yet he's still alive. And now he's hiding in a cave.
This is turning into a really fucking good episode of Jeremy Kyle. Could you imagine that? Could you? You got Palpatine.
It's threw me down a chute.
Coming in with a fucking forklift.
Ray walks out, all raging. The crowd's like applauding away. And she walks out, all raging, and moves the chair away from him. You know the type.
Aye, picks the chair up and moves the fuck away. You're my granddad. I've never met you. How come I've never met you?
She comes out wearing like fucking skinny, holy jeans. And she's got like a denim jacket on with furry cuffs. And she's like, well, "You ain't my dad." It's like, "I know, I'm your grandfather." Where's this going? I don't know. I'm just talking shite. But the whole point is, Star Wars is Jeremy Kyle in space. There's too much inter-fucking family shagging going on. And also, can I just say how much the word Raylo infuriates me to my fucking soul? Raylo. You must have seen this shit.
Or Raylo.
Aye, Raylo.
I've seen it, but
this is what they're calling the whole Kylo Ren and Rey fucking romance. If it
wasn't it a romance, they kissed once. He gave his life for her. Oh, wait.
There's too much. Oh, mate, you just spoiled it for me. I've not even seen it yet.
You had your chance.
I took my chance to fucking leave.
I'm curious. I want to like continue because I'm quite interested in the fact that you've left at a point. So you've kind of left at a point where you're like, okay, what happens next? So I'm going to ask you, what do you think happened next after you left? I want to see how cause some of it you already know, but where did you think it was going?
Well, I imagine Jeremy Kyle said, "Palpatine, you're a terrible grandfather," and then after that, I actually don't know. I stopped caring. I genuinely didn't care anymore. And that was the problem. I had no interest in finding out where it went. And I don't like when I spoke to Kevin. Kevin was the one that told me what happens at the end. Normally he does it without me wanting him to, but in this circumstance, I was quite happy for him to tell me. And I was still like, basically, when he told me everything that happened, I was like, all right, fair enough. And I just didn't care about anybody. I thought, and by the way, like I was going to say Cameron Poe, Poe Dameron. Poe Dameron is a shit replacement for Han Solo. I think his character's just weak. I don't see the point in him. And the same thing with Finn. I don't find them compelling. I find them a really wooden actor. It's like they're just ticking a box, and there's no strong. In fact, the strongest character in the whole thing has been Kylo Ren, and that's just down to Adam Driver because he's got presence. I mean, he might have a face like a welder's bench, but he's got screen presence. I did like most the only points in the movie where I was actually half interested was when Rey, Finn, Poe, they weren't in it. That was the only bits that I found interesting, and that's bad when you're only bothered about the baddies.
True, so true.
So
side note actually, I heard that if you were looking to find nude pictures of Rey, there's a picture of her topless, but she's a corpse. I'll take it. She plays like a corpse and tag or something with it, like doing like a it's like you know, what's that word? You know, when the
Cadaver.
no, before they cut you up.
At autopsy.
Yeah, it's like that. She's on the autopsy table. She's completely nude.
I'd imagine she's quite kind of fried eggy.
Still would. Even if
Oh,
you was dead.
She's beautiful. She reminds me of Keira Knightley. I think I said that night actually. She does remind me.
She is like the new and improved Keira Knightley, right? Daisy Ridley.
I wouldn't say improved.
No, I wouldn't say improved. I think
you wouldn't say improved.
No, she's
not a good actress. Definitely not.
No, I mean like in regards to how she looks, because Keira Knightley has that whole you could open a tin of beans with her face kind of look.
I think I like that, man. If she can open a tin of beans with her face, imagine what she can do to your willy.
Oh, there's so many girls listening to this going, I'm not listening to you anymore.
Do you know, my sister actually had this podcast, not this one, obviously it's not released yet, but she had one of her podcasts playing in the car when my mum was in the car.
Is that the one when I said your mum reminds me of that lassie you said you would do?
Thanks for that one, by the way. That's
like he said he would do Caroline Munro, someone we've met on the show.
Oh no, I heard about it. Yeah, I heard that one.
Yeah. He said he would do her, and it just so happens his mum looks just like her.
No, my mum got into the car with my sister, and she's like, are they swearing on the radio? And my sister was like, no, this is Jordan's podcast. She's like, oh, you know what? I would listen to that, but there's too much swearing in it. I'm like, oh well, fuck it.
So, what do you think about the backlash actually with this movie? I've seen on Twitter a lot of people giving it all the old stick because Rey, she's only doing everything she can do to satisfy a man and all this crap. Did you get any of the sexism from it?
I'll let Todd take this one.
This is the problem I've got with it, right? Because as soon as we left the cinema, I was like, yeah, this film's going to get pasted. Not as pasted as Cats, mind. I think Cats is taking a lot of heat off it. but yeah, I mean...
It's almost like Brexit and Prince Andrew. That's the scenario. It's like, right, Andrew, we need to take the attention off this shit.
I mean, I think with any sort of fan base that is the size of something like Star Wars and is as rabid as, you're never going to please everybody. You just can't. The Force Awakens, I feel, was like a fantastic reboot for a series that made the company lots of money and pleased a lot of people. But then there was a lot of people who were like, oh, it's too similar to the old ones, blah, 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 blah. Then Last Jedi comes out, is completely different to all the Star Wars movies that came before it, took lots of directions that the previous ones didn't go, which you probably would think would please the people who had problems with The Force Awakens. No, they fucking hated it even more, apparently. And the people who liked The Force Awakens didn't like that movie either. You can't please anybody. You can't.
You know,
so
it just goes to show you that, like you're saying, you just can't please people. There's always going to be some idiot with a voice that manages to gather some kind of following. Like they say, oh, it's too similar to the original. Okay, we'll do one that's a bit more similar to the original. Oh, sorry, we'll do one that's totally different from the original. No, it's too different. What the fuck do you want, you fucking fat, specky, virgin fuck? What are you wanting? What are you actually wanting? By the way, I say this as a fat, specky virgin. I'm sitting here looking like John. I'm sitting here looking like John Travolta and fucking.
Oh man,
the Fanatic.
You defo do.
I can't talk long. Gotta poop. Poop. Look at his hair.
Terrible, right? What's terrible about that, right? Is I enjoyed The Fanatic more than I enjoyed Rise of Skywalker.
Me too.
I did. Totally enjoyed that more. For all the wrong reasons, but I enjoyed it nevertheless.
We are going to do a watch along for this, by the way. It's happening. We have. In fact, Kev, you've not seen it yet, have you?
I've seen. I think I fell asleep watching it, so I've seen quite a bit of it.
I don't know how you fell asleep watching it.
You've not watched it.
It's literally the most unintentionally funny film I've ever fucking seen. It actually beat The Room for me. It actually beat The Room for silliness.
Yeah. In fact, it's John Travolta doing it as well, and it's directed by Fred Durst. It's just so many things, man.
Yeah, so this is happening. So let's go back to Rise of Skywalker just for a minute. I think I've kind of worked out where we are on it. I think I hated it, and I'm not arsed about seeing the rest of it. Todd, you liked the way it finished, but you still think it's kind of poor based on what it was
From a
up until.
filmmaking standpoint, it's not a good film, but it still does enough for me to be like, I'm happy that it's there. It could have been worse, so much worse.
Kevin, I still actually don't know, because when I said to you, like, I texted you saying, listen, man, sorry I walked out. Thanks for the invite. I'll catch up with you soon. What you said to me when you texted me back was, it's cool, man. I can't defend it. I'd like to know what your final standpoint is on it.
Well, I can't defend it. There's obviously issues, like you have already alluded to already. There are issues with how it's filmed. There's issues with the dialogue. There are issues. But it's Star Wars. So I can't apologise for it, and I can't defend it. All I can say is it is what it is, and I understand why people walk out. I understand why people don't like it, but I also understand why people like it.
That's like folk going, fuck it, he's OJ. Right.
I'll definitely be watching it again for many reasons. I love seeing Palpatine back on screen. I love the dark character, and I think, the only thing I hate about it is if you were going to have Palpatine be the bad guy, fucking have him, essence of him in the first two at least. Make there be more that he was coming. Do you know what I mean? Don't just bring him back at the start of the last one and then fucking do him in.
But they didn't know they were going to do that. They didn't know. J.J. Abrams was like, "Oh right, you go and do what you want, Ryan Johnson." Ryan Johnson was like, "Yeah, Snoke, fuck Snoke," and it was kind of like,
"You've just killed my baddie."
Exactly. That's exactly what happened.
I was building him. It's like when you're building a sandcastle and some guy comes and stamps on it. I was fucking building that. You've just fucking broke it.
Under
what am I going to do?
Jay Mack is stepping back.
I was fucking building that.
Can't believe somebody's taped down the back of that.
You taped down the back of my fucking program.
That's what happened. That's literally what happened. They taped off the VHS tab and went, right, I'm doing it my way. I'm re-recording this shit.
And then they handed it back to J.J. Abrams, like, thanks. So Ryan, yeah, I've not actually watched The Last Jedi, so everything's still cool though. You still keep to the story. I made a few changes. Not major though. All right, kill me. Don't bother. He fucking turns it. He's like, "What's this?"
Leaving somebody to look after your house when you're on holiday, and you give them a phone. You're like, "Everything all right?" They're like, "Aye, everything's cool." You get home, they're like, "By the way, just so you know, see the first week you were away, the dog died." What the fuck have you done?
So I think, as far as J.J. Abrams is though, right, bringing back Palpatine probably was the best idea. I mean, you didn't have enough time. God, they didn't have enough time to put any fucking story in it. So let them build a new bad guy. They had to give you a familiar bad guy, because you already know his backstory. Well, apparently you don't, because he fucking has kids. And a fucking mortgage.
Do you know, I think the first half of the film, for me, could have been played entirely with the Benny Hill theme tune over it. All right, okay, I can still follow this, even though there's no... All I can hear is music. I can still follow what's going on. There's a sat-nav, and that is all. That's literally it. A sat-nav and a dagger. That's the whole hour and a half. Nothing else fucking happened. Nothing else happened. So I've got a knife and fucking Google Maps. Mint it.
Google
So I will probably watch the rest of it at some point. But but I'm not fucking paying for it. So once one of you guys buys it on DVD and gets fed up with it, I'll take a wee shot. Sorry, I know you're going to get it on Blu-ray, DVD. What am I saying? What am I saying? So, out of 10, Kevin.
I think I rated it like a 6, and that's only because of the fan service.
Ted?
I've got my first initial mark was a 5, but I think 6 is fair because when it was good, when it gave me my Luke Skywalker moment that The Last Jedi didn't give me, when it gave me the Han Solo the Han Solo closure scene with Kylo Ren was really good. The highs are so high, but the lows just drag it down. So I think 6 is fair. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was going to rate it like a 2 or a 3, but because I'm a good guy, I'm not going to give my rating on it because I haven't seen it all. And until I see it all, I can't give a proper rating on it. It just, what I did see, I did not fucking take to it at all.
Yeah, the best parts are at the end.
Yeah, it won't be higher than a 6. It won't be higher than a 6 for you, I don't think.
See, this is where I've got an issue. You can have a film where the end is where everything comes together and it's perfect, but it has to be still interesting up until that point. Like you can have a film that's a slow burner, like it does take an hour or an hour and a half to put everything together, and then for your last 30 minutes, you're just bombarded with awesome, and you go, "Fuck, that was a fucking great film." But with this one, the lead up to where you say it got good was just so bad for me that I had no interest in seeing the end. And the only reason I now know what happened at the end is, like I said, I spoke to Kevin about it and I asked him. Most other people that I'd asked to tell me what happens, like that have seen it since, they're like, "I'm not telling you, I was spoiling it." Kev's like, "I'm fucking telling you."
Well, the thing that's bad. Todd told me the fucking plot before we went to see it.
Did you? I'm pretty sure Todd did that to you with Terminator as well.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So I've
Yeah,
actually,
but that one I don't think is as bad because that Terminator was
Grateful.
the first 5 minutes destroyed Terminator 2, so fuck that.
Absolutely.
I did kind of enjoy it, but that's a conversation for another time. Although,
did you guys know, by the way, did you guys know that Linda Hamilton was married to Jim Cameron?
Aye.
Yeah.
So, moving on.
Did you know she has a twin sister?
Yes, that's how they managed to do the whole fucking mirror scene in Terminator 2. That was cut for fucking no good reason.
He was just an average content viewer.
What can I say about Davey? He really didn't like to subscribe too much, you know?
He was a nice young boy. It's a shame about what happened to him, you know?
Until one tragic evening.
Put it this way, David would neglect the subscribe here buttons.
Yes, it was a quiet town until that tragic evening. Nothing like that ever happened round here.
We have it on great authority that young David was mutilated by a pamphlet containing the words "subscribe here." It is not known exactly where this pamphlet came from at this present time, but police are looking into it. Don't be like David. Subscribe to the Jibber Jabber podcast and avoid death.
Aye, mate, what is I can't somebody right, he didn't subscribe to the Jibber Jabber podcast, and a chopstick fell in his eye.
Subscribe to the Jibber Jabber podcast now.
Aye, mate, you need to go and subscribe, like, because it's a curse, and if you didn't subscribe, it kills you.
Disclaimer, curses not exist or kill you.
Okay, so now we're going to move along to the comment section of our community on social media, which you should be following by now. So we're going to go to Facebook first. So Jack Logan said, "Now that I've seen it, I personally thought that it was really good, and J.J. Abrams has done a good job wrapping it up until Disney run out of money. Ha ha ha. 8.5 out of 10. Say that's a fair comment?
That's high. That's fucking high.
But he's still a young child, this guy, right?
He's
Quite
a
young.
young guy, I would say. I think he's 15. He's nearly 16.
Right,
I think.
Yeah, that's just how he
15-year-old
feels,
you.
man. I mean, JJ does deserve credit for at least wrapping it up in some sort of way, I suppose.
Yeah, that's something we haven't actually touched upon, was the fact that he did a good sweep-up job. You know, I think the time that it took him to sweep up the ship from the last one to kind of get it back on track to where he saw it going,
you know
allotted him, it took a lot of time from his story, and that's why we got the end of it. Yeah.
Why not sweep it up like a limited Netflix series? Why try and sweep it up with a film that clearly didn't have enough time to do it properly?
What you'll find though is sometimes well, there's that, but sometimes they go back and then they just slip a wee TV series in between, like Mandalorian kind of thing.
Well, that was what I was going to say earlier on with the whole. Like I started watching The Mandalorian. Unfortunately, I was too tired. I didn't finish the first episode. But from what I've seen, it was fucking gorgeous. Certainly in comparison to the film that I just seen. The way I described it to Kevin was that it reminded me of Blade Runner 2049. You get a major sense of scale. You can really feel. I think that like the first episode is kind of set in a world of ice, basically, and you feel like you're standing there with nothing for miles around, and it does a really good job of making that feel like properly real. Even the kind of daft, like when the monster showed up, I was like, oh, it's going to get stupid. But even the monster that popped out from under the ice, I was like, oh, that actually looks kind of good. Looks a lot better than that fucking stupid snake thing that showed up in Rise of Skywalker. What was that? And she done the whole fucking Crocodile Dundee hang on it.
I think the whole purpose on that, I think the purpose with that was just so we know she could do it because of the final scene. It was just a way of saying, here, look, she can already do this. Because had she just done it for the first time in the movie, at the end, you'd probably be like, what the fuck was that thing she done? That's probably where they got that from, right? So we've got another comment here from Kyle Martin. And he says, despite the negative reviews on it, I enjoyed the movie. It was a vast improvement on The Last Jedi, 8 out of 10. So, I mean, another 8 there. I agree. I preferred it to The Last Jedi. So here's another one, right? This fella called Jonathan Williams. I almost cried in the car, but mainly because I realised that there was no point in the Disney trilogy at all.
Oh, you poor bastard.
What do you think, Todd?
Well, you know,
Fingers when they raise it.
he's kind of spot on. When people look at this now, the prequels have more of a purpose than the sequels, to be honest. And people hated the prequels, so
Don't know why. I'll always defend them.
suddenly Phantom Menace is sitting there with a cigar in its mouth going, you new black sheep, son.
So we have another one from AC Dean. Sounds like all the critics were crying too, although these are the same people that said The Last Jedi was the greatest Star Wars movie, so I'll probably love this. And this is someone who actually hasn't seen it.
Right. I wonder what he thinks now that he's possibly seen it. Maybe touch and let us know.
And another final here. Just finished The Rise of Skywalker, and truly it was a fitting end to the saga that began 42 years ago. I was in tears and it moved me in ways I'm still processing. J.J. Abrams and the whole team did the series justice. The Force is with us all, always. That's from H.
From who?
K, as in like her name's K, like
Yeah.
K-Y, and then just H.
KH. Right.
K.
That's how she feels. That's fine. The only problem that I've got is that sometimes films like this can suffer with overly positive reviews from people that convince themselves that it's good.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a major player in the fact that it's still got a rating of. In fact, to be honest, I just checked it a while ago. It's still got 7 on IMDb. I think the longer it's out, the quicker that's going to drop.
Yeah.
and it's basically because people don't want to admit that it's actually shit. Or it's mostly shit. It's shit certainly for about an hour and a half. Like I say, I can't speak for the rest of it, but it's like fuck. I'm trying to think of another example. Something that, to be honest, I think I was a bit like that with Terminator: Dark Fate.
Mm-hmm.
I was generous to it because of how much I loved the first two. But if I wasn't inclined to be as generous, I could probably turn it and go, nah, it was just another Genesis.
It was quite shit.
What was the reaction when Terminator 3 came out? Was that the initial reaction for that very positive?
I don't think it was a shit one.
That's you though, Kevin. I think
I've got to agree with Kevin. I actually am quite an apologist for Terminator 3. Dark through the hand.
Again, that's the point. I think it could possibly be because of the whole, the first two are so good, I have to convince myself that this one's good. And it's just not. Terminator Dark Fate is a shit ton better than Terminator 3. And you can argue with me about that until the fucking cows come home.
We will argue about this. We will.
Patience, honey.
I'll have that fucking argument, mate. I will.
Terminator 3 is... Do you know, it's the first time I can remember when they started 12A-ing the fuck out of stuff. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I remember that was a victory for me and Kevin, I think. I was like, yes, I get to see a Terminator film in the cinemas. I was convinced it was going to be 15 or 18.
No.
That benefited us.
And I think that's where the new one kind of clawed it back a little bit compared to the third one. I won't even bring the other two into it. But no, I think that, I mean, there's times where you'll see a film come out, then like it'll be a sequel to something, and then the first people to see it are all the super fans, and you'll see it. It's like, holy shit, this sequel's sitting at 9.2 on IMDb. 2 weeks later, 5.2. It's because normal people go see it after that.
Phantom Menace has been out since 1999 and it's at 6.5. So it's not quite the hammering that everybody get. You know, the perception of it isn't as bad as what the actual rating is. Maybe it went up since the Rise of Skywalker came out.
Possibly.
I'm rating that a 10.
I mean, does any one of the three years think that was a good film?
Phantom Menace?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
But you were a child when it came out.
I enjoyed it last time I watched it.
But see, now it's got the nostalgia factor for you already as well, and that's going to add some points.
What you're saying is we're finding reasons to like a fucking movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the reasons are all in that movie.
No, the reasons in your mind. So that came out when I was a kid. It's like Todd's thing with the Never-Ending Story. We love it, but Todd's actually probably got a more accurate opinion of it than we have. It probably actually is a load of shite, but we just love it because we grew up with it. And actually, if you take a step back and look at it, it is actually kind of shit. Not a lot happens in it. It's like, oh, boy wakes up, dad's a dick, goes to a shop, reads a book, well, the book comes to life. Other wee guy, clearly fucking Indian, rides a horse, loses horse, rides a dragon, fucking goes through a mirror, fucking saves the world somehow.
You know what would have made? You know what would have sped that the fuck up if he had a Sith nav.
Aye, the nothing nav.
The nothing nav. He'd have found it right away. Or at least
no, the nothing. So, I'm not going to shit on Never-Ending Story. I'm never going to shit on it, but I think it's the fact that it was out when we were kids has got a lot to do with it. I remember loving Mac and Me, for fuck's sake.
Mac and Me's a classic. But yeah.
It's not. It's fucking terrible. I watched it 5 years ago or something. It's ridiculous.
It's also on Amazon Prime.
For those of you listening, check out Amazon Prime for some top titles.
Why the fuck's it called The Rise of Skywalker?
Because that's her name. They ask at the end, what's your name? She goes, Ray Skywalker.
Ah, but it's not. That's just like me being, my name's Kevin Forrest. Like, totally fucking isn't he?
I'm Jordan Wells. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, totally. So she's not really risen either, has
So,
she?
and that was another thing. I knew as soon as they asked Ray what her family name was, she's like, I don't have one. I was like, she's gonna come in at the end and say she's Ray fucking Skywalker.
She's actually a Palpatine. That makes sense to me. Rise of
It would have
Skywalker.
actually been more powerful if she said Palpatine, because Palpatine's such a like the Hitler of the Star Wars world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to have somebody that was like, I'm a Hitler, it's kind of like, oh well, we're going to turn that. Hitlers are good now.
Yeah, that would have made more sense. But just the Rise of Skywalker.
The Rise of Hitler.
Really though? Like Revenge of the Sith, I get it. Right? I get it.
Yeah.
But the Rise of Skywalker. No. You're not really risen. But, do you know what I mean? It's very anticlimactic to give it that title. Would you agree?
Hey man, J.J. Abrams is sitting there somewhere reading all these reviews and listening to these reviews and just going, fuck it. I don't give a fuck. You don't know what I had to deal with, man. It's as simple as that.
So,
They did the best job they could do, man.
Yeah.
George Lucas is sitting like this. They fucked it.
Doesn't matter. Anyway, he's got enough money to fucking last more lifetimes than Palpatine.
I did see a meme yesterday, possibly, and it was obviously Mark Hamill saying, "Yous have ruined the new movies. Yous have ruined them." And somebody went, "No, actually, Mark, you've ruined them. You're the only one that's been going online and ripping into folk for saying that it's good. You're the only one that's been whinging about the fact that it went a different way to what you wanted. You're the one that fucking spoiled it." What's your thoughts on that?
I think he knows Luke Skywalker. If anything, he knows Luke Skywalker just as much as George Lucas knows Luke Skywalker. So for somebody to tell him that he's wrong for having his feelings about how his character should have been portrayed.
I agree with you, mate, but at the end of the day, it's an actor's job to turn up and do what the director's vision is, man.
Yep, and it's exactly what he done. So.
Yep, exactly. That's what the actor's job is. If the actor wants to do that, then be the fucking director or writer. Simple as that.
I'm actually starting to think that maybe Mark Hamill, just when he was filming that scene in The Last Jedi, actually did just fucking fade away. There wasn't even a special effect there. He was just like, fuck it. I'm done. And they've just
that's the biggest. That's the main thing that I didn't like about this sequel trilogy was how they handled Luke Skywalker, man.
Mm-hmm. Possibly not. So this concludes our episode here of The Rise of Skywalker. So we hope you guys listening enjoyed it as much as we did. And make sure you check out our podcast on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, and everywhere else like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that cool stuff. Go like, subscribe. I have been Kevin Wells. You have been...
I have been Jay Mack. One thing I want to say just before I pass on to Todd to say that he has been Todd is that our episodes might be slightly less frequent than they have been, but simply because of our side project, which we'll tell you about later. But we're still going to keep our fingers in the pie. And you have been...
I'm Todd, and thanks for having me on, guys, again, and Merry Christmas, everybody.
Anytime. Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
What is my Christmas without you?
And a Happy New Year.
Goodbye.